because you're looking down this black hole of like, what is my life now? Who even am I now that I faced this breast cancer? No one really understands. Can have things happen to you that are very unfair. Maybe society will tell you you even have, the right to be mad about that forever, but that we move forward and the only way forward is through.
Welcome back, you guys, to another episode of the Beyond the Scale podcast. I'm your host, Katherine, and today we have a special guest. We have a Fit Body Bootcamp member. We have Heather Sinawi, who is an adoptive mother of 4 daughters living in Lake Orion, Michigan. She is a graduate of Oakland University and works as a support staff for adults with developmental disabilities, as well as a residential dog boarding out of her own home. She is a member of her local school board and is passionate about building community. So I can't wait to talk about that today because that's one of the things that I'm passionate about. Heather is a breast cancer survivor who made a decision to take back her health and make strides towards a better future for herself and her family. So welcome, Heather, to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited to learn more about you and your story. And for our listeners, I found Heather on social media. She had been posting about Fit Body Bootcamp and about her cancer journey and her own health and her transformation. And I was so inspired. I was like, okay, she is like our golden member here. We need to showcase her. We need to talk to her about her story and just let her share with all of our listeners, like how you did it and how you overcame so many challenging times. So I guess let's start with first, how long have you been going to Fit Body Bootcamp?
So I actually was a member there right when I got my diagnosis in 2019. So I stopped training there, had, rigorous course of treatment for about 1.5 years. And I also attempted some reconstructive surgery that failed. So I kind of took some time after a lot of that trauma and decided I was going to try to get my health back. And so I started at Fit Body again in December of 22. So,
Okay.
And so I've been there since consistently.
Wow. What was it like? So you started in 2019 and then you got that diagnosis. What were your feelings like when you got that diagnosis regarding your health? Because you clearly had already made the decision to start taking care of yourself and going to the gym. But then it's like you get this diagnosis. Talk about your mindset through that.
So I think I was a college athlete, so I always enjoyed being active. And I think having the diagnosis, particularly at a young age, I think my mindset was I was afraid, right? And regardless of the life decisions I was making at the time regarding my nutrition or my fitness, like some things just aren't fair, and I think so for me, and they were supportive and kind, when I got the diagnosis there at Fit Body, and the coaches there are just tremendous. And even now, I mean, the coaches are just such a great support and accountability. And so I knew when the time was right, I would be welcome back. So I think for me, after the initial shock of the diagnosis and coming to terms with the fact that I had to face it and I had to walk through it, always knowing when I had to start again that I would be welcome back at Lake Orion. So
that's so beautiful and really just speaks volumes to the kinds of coaches that they have and the community at that Fit Body location and across the brand. I mean, that is our goal. We often say that like we're not in the fitness business, we're in the relationships business. And we truly are because we love to build those solid relationships. The relationship comes first with our clients. And I'm so glad that you were able to have that support through that journey that you went through. Which leads me to my next question. You had this support at the gym, but I know that this was very much a battle that you were facing on your own. What motivated you to start sharing your story online with others? And what impact do you hope that you have on your audience by sharing your story?
Sorry, my dog. I can't. Yeah, Sonny, you have to. He's not like this typically. Sorry about that. So I started in December of so post reconstruction. So if I could just share a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
one of the things that I wanted to share about is kind of what women face post treatment. So when you're
Mm,
in treatment, you just face the day in front of you. But after treatment, you realize a lot of things about your body have changed. Uh, Regarding medications, things you're on, surgical, radiation, all those pieces. So for me, when I got to the place where I could actually be a candidate for reconstruction, I was so excited. And I knew I would have a time where I couldn't train, couldn't do anything, but I was ready to start recovering. And I had, within that span of time, 3 surgeries in a 3 month period, and the reconstruction failed. And I was, to say devastated, it would be an understatement. And I took some time there, and sorry if I get emotional, but I took some
oh,
time in there to just sort of be very sad about just everything that had transpired.
yeah.
And I had a lot of weight gain from being very sedentary through treatment, weight gain because of you're essentially in menopause after breast cancer treatment. So you have all of those things and changes that are happening, and you can gain weight very quickly. So that was all happening around that time. And I went to one of my doctor's appointments and saw this number on the scale, and I had a breakdown there in the office, and I just said, I can't feel sorry for myself anymore. I have to make changes. I could blame the trauma of the treatments. I could blame how everything turned out, but I couldn't anymore. Like, I had to start looking at what I could do and do that. So what I realized also is that post treatment is very lonely. Like, there isn't, when you're in it, you're with patients, you're seeing doctors, the same nurses every week. You kind of have this like thing that you're doing, and then treatment's done and it's like a cliff. Like, you're like, no one really understands, right?
Mm,
You're
right.
cancer free, you're so grateful, all the emotions are there, and yet there isn't anybody to really talk about what it feels like afterwards, and the loss that you feel and all of that. So I was on a vacation with friends, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna start Instagram, and I'm gonna share share my story and see if there's a way that other survivors are out there, and I could try to find a platform to connect with them
Yeah.
who face the exact, if not similar, circumstances that I was facing. Because you're looking down this black hole of like, what is my life now? Who even am I now that I faced this breast cancer treatment, and and now I'm a survivor, and I'm a part of this incredible group of women. And so, but facing like the side effects, the things. So I just kind of wanted to highlight, like, if I can do this, that means that you can as well. And maybe we don't face the exact mirroring thing, or anyone who's gone through a cancer diagnosis and survived, that this is now your another chapter, and what's that going to look like. So I just thought, you know what, like, why not Instagram? Like, I have other, I have my own page, and so I my own personal page. So I thought, let's just give this a try. I don't know what it's going to turn into. And it's been pretty fun to catalog it. I didn't know that, like, it would I would see the transformation that I've seen so far, and I'm not finished, right?
Yeah.
So but yeah, it's been pretty wild, and I've connected with a couple of survivors, but my hope is that eventually it can turn into something bigger.
Yeah. You shared something that I want to talk about a little bit more, and it's that, after you've had your surgeries, and your body no longer feels the same as it did before, and it's like this unrecognizable body that you're looking at in the mirror. Talk to us about how you were able to you made that shift and you decided, like, at the doctor that day, I'm going to start going to the gym, but Talk to us about how you show up for yourself on those days where you look in the mirror and you're like, I don't recognize this person. I don't like this person, but you still pull on those yoga pants and you're like, I'm going to freaking do the thing. Because there's so many women that it's actually crazy if you think about the psychology behind it. It's like they don't like what they're looking at. They don't like the way they feel, but yet they're too scared to go to the gym, even though they know that could help them and that might be one of the solutions that helps them feel better. They're just too scared to do it. And then they're just like, I'm just going to sit here. I'm not going to do anything about it. How do you talk yourself out of that? And how do you get yourself motivated to go to the gym despite all everything you were going through and everything that you still are now after?
So personally, like my faith is crucial to that. So um as a Christian, I believe that even the worst things that happen to you can be worked for your good. So going through the pain and the struggles in a way strengthened me to be able to move forward. So the way that I try to, well, I took a lot of time to reach out for support from close friends in those days where I didn't feel like um, there was a way forward, because it is very upsetting when you think you have a plan for your life and it doesn't go the way that you thought. So the days that I'm like, there's no way, this is too hard, like I have gained too much weight, like they told me just to expect that, you're gonna have, osteoporosis by the time like they tell you these things because
Right.
you no longer have, like, estrogen, and there's all these risk factors, and I'm like, you know what, no, like I don't have to accept that as my um future. So, and even if I'm at a higher risk, that means even more that I should be motivated to make change. So I guess, like, on days when I don't feel like it, or I have to think about the bigger picture. Like, I sat with my daughter yesterday and I was joking with her about grandkids. And I'm like, so, like, I'm not doing this just so I can, like, I can look good, although that's a nice,
Yeah.
byproduct. I'm like, but I want to be able to do all the things. And so how my mind shifts from, like, I was embarrassed going, because I mean, I weighed almost 300 pounds. I mean, it was, uh, and not to mention just the change in my body and what it looked like. So for me to just start, um, I think I just had to say whatever it's going to look like is better than where I'm at now. So I had to just move past that. And so, with my faith that I believe strengthened me to get to the place where I'm at now, that was kind of the shift that had to take place. And on days I don't want to, like if I have to do an afternoon class and I didn't make it, or I got to do stuff, and or I don't feel like doing this. This might sound silly, but literally all I do is go change into my workout clothes, and then I know that I'm like committed, right? So that's
Yeah.
a big and a small answer. But my faith was crucial to that, and it continues to be every day for me. So,
That's so important. And I want to mention something to our listeners. I just got back from a success summit this past weekend in Dallas, and there were many of the speakers that were sharing similar stories to yours, like the cancer diagnosis or the car accident or something very tragic that had happened in their life. And 9 times out of 10, as everyone's sharing these experiences, it is when they decided to take care of themselves with their health, their fitness, and their mindset that they were able to tackle anything that came their way. And yes, a lot of the people there were Christians and it was very faith-based, which was wonderful. But even if you're listening to this and you're not a believer, it's if you believe in yourself and the power that health and fitness and just taking your care of yourself can have over your body, it's transformative. It's amazing.
it
And
really
that's
is. It
usually
really
the
is.
story.
No, it really is. And I think just like fitness, or just even moving your body. Like I was talking to someone outside the gym today. It was her second class. And
Mhm.
I chatted with her in the parking lot and I said, so, like, what are your, like, how long you been coming? And we were just kind of going back and forth. And I was sharing a little bit of my story. And because she was sharing how she has these aspirations and she just had to start. And I said, yeah. I said, and tomorrow's day 3. of the rest of your, like the rest of your life, basically. I go, you just start, and then you can't think about all the times that it didn't go the way you wanted it to, or
Mhm.
think about how many times you started a
Mhm.
diet. A lot of women, like, so I'm 39. And by the time we get to this, we've tried different things. We've, this diet or that diet, or just tried to eat healthier, or however that looks like. And I feel like all of us have some experience with that. But I think the catalyst for me was I had every right to feel sorry for myself. I had every right to be sad and grieve, but I didn't have the right to allow that diagnosis to be everything about who I was, right?
Mhm.
Because it's
Yes.
so big, it takes over for that period of time. And sometimes I look back on it and I think it felt like it was yesterday, but forever ago. And
Yeah.
so, but it also took me several years to even talk about it. So what part of why I wanted to do the Instagram was to also show myself that I could heal, was to also show myself that I could heal enough to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. And I know you're a mom to 4 kids?
yeah, I
4
have
kids.
two older adults
Okay.
that are out of the house, and two younger girls here at home.
Talk to me about how it's been not only taking care of your family through all of this, but do you have the support at home, and what's their outlook and what's their take on your journey towards really just being the best person that you can be?
Well, they're super proud of me. They do tell me often, like, they're like, wow, like they were looking at pictures the other day, and they were making comments about it. And um, so I think for my younger girls here, like they, watching me go through that journey all together, just even the diagnosis and all the different fears and all of those things that went on in our home, I think like um, I'm trying to show them, going back to what I said before, that you can have things happen to you that are very unfair.
Mhm.
And maybe society will tell you you even have, the right to be mad about that forever. But that, with Christ and the way that our outlook is on life, that here in this home, we move forward, and the only way forward is through. So trying to
Mhm.
just, I guess, set that example too, of like consistency and discipline too, which is
Mhm.
something I think they notice, because they're like, oh, she's not missing, like she ain't playing around. So um yeah, having them here, and they're my they're my why, right? So
Right.
they're the reason that um you get up every day, and because there's certainly days, particularly through the diagnosis and treatment, where you have zero interest in facing the day, right?
Yeah.
But you have your children, and so they're the most important thing. So yeah, so I think they're having fun with it too. Like they get to come and do some stuff, and they know that we're just now, like, our lifestyle has changed, which is pretty cool, I think, for them.
That was gonna be my next question. So do you have any, like, healthy habits or life hacks that you do every single day that really help you show up? Because every like, I'll be honest, everybody loves that. On social media, we love it. Like, these are the top 5 things that I do every single day to get out of bed and make it to the gym. Like, we all love that stuff.
Yeah.
So share with us, what are some things that you do every day? What's, like, a part of your daily routine and your lifestyle that helps you show up not only as, like, a fit person and go to the gym, but as a mom?
Yeah, 100%. So routine, right? Routine, and there is a lot of comfort in routine. So like for me, up at generally about 90% of the time, the same time every morning, right? Um, so around 5:45, I get up. I have just sort of an expectation of how the morning is going to go. So um, I have near the same thing for breakfast. So people who follow me on social media know I have a first breakfast and a second breakfast. Okay. So my first breakfast is iced coffee and my protein, and usually like a protein bar. And that's because I'm up early. And so by the time we get to class, I have to have had something metabolized, right? So
Right.
um, but I'm also somebody who I do thrive when things are structured. So um, I have all of that here. I'm not panicking. I plan to have all those things. So I'm not like, oh, caught in that, like, what am I going to do now sort of
Right.
thing. So routine is big. My sleeping has really improved. I mean, I can't tell you outside of the weight loss how good I feel.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really helps motivate me to stick to my routine, even when things come up, because life comes up. There is no doubt that there are things that come up. And so I appreciate that Fit Body has options of class times too when things like that come up. But
Right.
I would say one that I guess that's a life hack, routine. And I have accountability. So I have a coach who I work with at Fit Body. And I mean, all the coaches are great and supportive. But I have one specific coach where we work on our nutrition together.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helps. I think that life is meant to be in community. So when people are out there doing it on their own, and I see them. I mean, I follow influencers too, and that's incredible to me. That I don't think I would be near as successful in life, period, if I had to just rely on myself. So I think that's one big part of it is like just having that accountability and like seeing it as an investment in yourself and in your future. Because I know that finances can be sometimes a deterrent in a lot of different ways for a lot of different reasons. So when I joined FitBody, I had to determine to myself that this was going to be something that was essentially not like an extra. This is
Yeah.
something that I have to have in my life. And so that's how I look at it. So those few things, like essentially making it a priority, knowing what your priorities are,
Mm-hmm.
where that falls in it, right? And then, sticking to your routine, even when life doesn't go the way you are wanting it to go. Because as a
Right.
parent, we know that that kind of stuff happens all the time. Well, this kid's sick, or, they have this or they have that. And I'm like, okay, so, but everything works around priority though. So like
Mm-hmm.
it eventually has to happen. And if it doesn't, you're not so stuck to the routine that you can't that you beat yourself up about it. So,
Right.
and I like to have fun. So that's a part of it that I think if you don't enjoy it, it's going to be a struggle. So hopefully that hit all the high points there. But I really enjoy going to the gym. And honestly, I really enjoy like the nutrition part of it too. And just learning about it and cooking new stuff, trying new stuff. I don't know, maybe I'm weird, but I mean, it's not always fun, but it's, I,
No, I love it. And what I'm hearing from you for our listeners, if you're like new to Fit Body or if maybe you've never even been before, like as an adult, wouldn't you agree that like sometimes I look back and I'm like, I miss being in high school with all my friends every day and being in that community. Like going to the gym somewhere like Fit Body is like that. Like it's somewhere where you can be with other people, whether you want to talk to anybody or not. It's like you're surrounded by this energy and the vibes.
Mhm.
And it is like 50% the workout for me. I mean, I went to boot camp this morning and I have a great gym at home and I like to run at home and I'm very self motivated. But there's just something about that feeling that I have when I leave a workout there where I just feel connected and energized. And it's hard to find like situations and places like that when you're an adult other than a gym.
I absolutely agree. I
Yeah.
absolutely agree. Our class and my teammates that I train with when I first started, and I'm very outgoing, right? And I'm like, this is my personality. And I remember when I first went back, I was nervous. Like I
Mhm.
was nervous. Not only was I not feeling, good in my own skin, but I was nervous. I had to start over and it's like, do you talk to people? Do they want to talk to you? And then my friend Lori and I just were in the same spot kind of every morning. We start chatting. And then eventually we just like other women just kind of, and then we started chatting and we had, now we're this like little crew. And I just texted them about a barbecue for the spring because we're all going to get together. And we were able to have a Friendsgiving together. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and when we were here for the Friendsgiving, like a lot of them were talking about that, how
Yeah.
challenging it can be to make friends, after you have kids or you lived in the area and you know, you're out of that convenient, like, I'm going to make friends because, they happen to be in the same place. So, and it's actually really something really special. And we text and we encourage each other and everybody's on their own journey. So it's kind of cool to to give each other a little bit of accountability, but also just be invested in each other. So
Yeah, definitely. And something too, it's like it's almost a comfortable uncomfort zone at the gym. Like we're getting uncomfortable, but we're comfortable doing it together.
yeah,
And I think that's something as a society we need to do a better job of putting ourselves in those situations because as you mentioned like your routine, I think you said your routine is comfortable to you. And in a world where we have so many circumstances that we cannot control, a routine that we have every day is something that we can control. So going back to that comfort thing, it's like we get so comfortable and a lot of times we don't want to move outside of our comfort zone. But when you have people that you can do that with, it's a really beautiful thing.
yeah, yeah. I totally agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, what advice would you give to somebody that's facing maybe similar adversities that you faced and that you're still facing in life, and especially those who are just starting out on their health and fitness journey?
Just start. So that would be what I would say. Like, just start. Just go, try it out. Um, just give it a chance, and don't expect that it's going to be quick or perfect. Have realistic expectations, and be kind to yourself. I think um, part of being able to do it in community alleviates some of that because you do have those natural supports, and maybe you're not forcing yourself to just go to Planet Fit, or another place, just that you have to have accountability on your own. So I say it's not going to maybe be the easiest, but you have to start. You have to start somewhere. So and also to kind of tackle one thing. So try not to think of it like it's so massive, right? The things that you're going to have to change to see the results that you want to see, but to just kind of take small bites, you know?
Yeah,
When I first started and they gave me the macros and stuff, I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to and I was over on my calories. Like, it was funny looking back at it now. But when I
yeah,
first started, I just started focusing on something. So I focused on protein a ton, right? Now I don't even think about it.
right.
But in the beginning, it was very tough. So
Yeah.
I would say just start. You never know what it could turn into. So,
Mm,
and be excited about it because of that.
yeah, have fun with it.
Yeah.
That's great advice. Well, Heather, this has been so great, and I know our audience is going to get so much value from this episode.
So
Do you have any big goals that you're setting for yourself right now? What's next for Heather?
what's next? I'm just staying the course, right? So, I mean, I would love to see a certain scale number, right, of fat loss and
Mhm.
body fat percentage and all of that. But right now, I'm just staying the course. I'm focused on nutrition and my just choices that I'm making every day. Kind of going to the gym is and pushing myself a little bit harder, right? So
Mhm.
I think it's all a matter of what I think for me, because I'm such a goal person. Like if I get hyper focused on that number, I
Mhm.
thought that I would when I first started, but now I'm chasing how I feel and my physique and how things change. And I mean, that's a fun part for me. So I guess next I would love to see myself hit 90 pounds of weight loss. I think would be a good healthy spot for me. So that's another 40 pounds, I guess, and hoping it's all fat, and then I can, just keep building that lean muscle. Well, that's the number. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just day by day for me, just trying to meet whatever I have my goal for today. I've been setting monthly goals. So last month it was like, listen, I'd get 7,000 steps and try something new. So I started to listen to podcasts, which, so I mean,
Yeah.
just, I don't know, challenging myself a little bit. So who knows what it'll turn into, but um, right now I just I feel so good. So I'm just going to chase that.
I love that. And I love how much you're enjoying the journey. And that's just such great inspiration for our audience because too many times we're too focused on the end goal and we're
Hmm.
not focused on enjoying the journey. And that's like everything I'm hearing from you right now.
Yeah.
So I just absolutely love that.
Yeah.
Where can our listeners find you and follow
Sure.
along in your exciting journey?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. It's at Sanawi Stronger, which is my last name. So when I was going through my treatment, they named like the support page for me Sanawi Strong. So a friend of mine, Meredith, said, "How about Sanawi Stronger?" And I was like, and she kind of joked, but I was like, actually, that's perfect. So Sanawi Stronger, and just following this kind of next chapter of my life. So
Mhm. That's awesome. Well,
yeah,
thank you so much for being on the show. This was so great. And I'm so happy for you and excited to continue to watch your journey
thank
as
you.
you transform and just show up as your best self every
Yeah,
single day.
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to our listeners for joining us for another episode of the podcast. Make sure to check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube, and share this episode with all of your friends. Until next time, thanks so much.